Hello and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight we are welcomed by Scott Martin. Hi, Scott. How are you this evening? I know we talked a little bit before when we started the interview, but how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing just perfectly fine, and I'm totally looking forward to this and maybe seeing if I can get you to chuckle a little bit, Harry.
That's not hard. See, right off the bat, you even
Yep,
mentioned
I
it. I'm
gotcha.
all ready.
It's gonna be a blast.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Now, I know we talk it as a blast, but I'm gonna start off a little heavy, simply because we're gonna talk about your past, and it might get a little bit nothing, I don't know what you've put out there already, and I had to go through quite a bit of podcasts before, and you're very interesting to listen to, so I did enjoy your prior podcast.
Okay. All right.
Uh
Nothing's off limits. I mean, I know you're talking about the emotional side. The emotional side, we're not gonna be talking about sex or anything, I know.
No,
But the
no,
emotional
no, no.
side,
No,
you
there's
did
proof
have
to
one
all
guest
that.
on recently. You did have one guest on recently that was 50 and affable.
Oh,
So, yeah,
yes,
that was
yes.
interesting. Yeah, she's not yeah. So, I know we're gonna be
Yeah.
talking about the emotional side of my story, so I'm totally fine with anything you wanna bring up.
Awesome. Well, if it's what I mean, you can always say, "Yo, I don't wanna be there." That's fine. I would
Okay.
totally hold back on that. That's okay.
Alright.
But now so when we talk a little personal, your life changed dramatically
Mm,
after contracting a rare infection, and I
yes.
believe
Mm.
loss of the parts of your hands and feet, right?
Oh, we went a little further in that area.
Okay.
Lost both hands and parts of both feet.
Oh,
So and
okay.
when you're talking about a pivot point, well, let's just be honest about it. It was like stepping on a rake and it's slapping against your face. And I've had a few of
Mm,
these situations that are in my story that are in the book. So,
right.
yeah, yeah, the illness,
Oh,
as I
yeah.
call it, the illness.
Right. I understand. I understand. So, but when we go back to that point in time, the very beginning of it, when you first woke up and realized what had happened, wh I know this is gonna be too much. You let me know if I concur,
It's
but
okay. Yeah.
what was going through your mind in that exact moment when you woke up and realized what had happened?
Well, I had been in a coma for a month, so
Mm,
I was kinda rested. But I woke up from the coma to first see a nurse who left the room and said, "I'll be right back," and came in with a doctor. And the
mhm,
doctor stood by my bedside, and I noticed while I was waiting for the doctor to come in, that I couldn't move, and I had a brace around my neck, and I was wondering, the first thing that ran through my mind was, "My god, am I paralyzed? Was there a car accident or something?" Because I didn't remember anything. And to try to gauge time, I looked and I saw just dozens of, get well cards and things like that, and also Mylar balloons that were sagging. So I
mm,
put 2 and 2 together and put on my Sherlock Holmes cap and realized, "Man, this has been a little while. This has been a little while." So the doctor came in, very nice gentleman, and he talking, had us all worried, da, 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 da. And then he went into, "You contracted group A strep with necrotizing fasciitis." And then he said the big one. The media loves to call this the flesh-eating disease. Boom.
mm,
Now I have an idea what's going on. Then he used, for a while, described near-death experience and this, and mentioned amputations.
mm,
So that's when really, that's exactly the point where I started doing something extremely stupid. I think it's kind of a male thing. I pushed all my emotions aside. I put, you know,
mm,
I blew past denial. I put all of the denial package into a bag and I tucked it someplace in my brain and I didn't wanna touch it.
right.
Really, the first thing that ran through my mind, because I was still playing soccer at this time. I was coaching at the university level. I was also playing indoor out of Minneapolis. And so the first thing I was like, "Oh, there goes my career," my playing career. I still had
Mhm,
a team to go to. And the next thing though was I was from what I could calculate, I was supposed to be in Europe at this time. Usually my summers between my spring and fall playing season, I'd get opportunities to go coach in Europe and take players from across the United States. And this was a
mhm,
really special situation where these were college players from across the country. A good friend of mine and I had hand selected to go play in the 3 top European tournaments. And that was the next negative well, besides amputations, I suppose, that,
Mhm.
man, I missed Europe, and but now also I have players that are gonna be coming in, and what's happening here, you know? And I
Right.
went right to let's I couldn't speak because I was intubated. I re went right into
And
in my yeah, go ahead.
and this was just moments of you realizing that you'd been out
Oh,
a while.
I mean, it
Yeah.
was like somebody tipping dominoes with all of this negative stuff going on, trying to figure out,
Yeah.
you know, which way are the dominoes gonna fall and what sort of formation are they
Mhm.
going in, but it really was, going down a bad path,
Mhm.
and, that's how I saw it, and then family members came in a little while after that, after the doctor spoke with me, and that's when we started really churning down this road of where the heck am I gonna go now? What else? What other news are you gonna be giving me here, folks, with what's really
Yeah.
happening? Yeah.
That I can't even imagine. I think my mind would be all over the place. I think the first thing what I'd be thinking is, "Where's my dogs? Where's my dogs at? Who's taking care of my dogs?" Yeah,
So,
I can't even imagine. I mean, being out for a month. Did you remember going into the hospital?
the day before I went in well, I ended up going in twice, Ari. Once
Mhm,
was so I was at a Nike asked me to come down to a regional camp in Chicago, and there were national team players there, and actually I started feeling poorly when we were playing an exhibition. And the next day it was a day early, I went to see my mother in Southern Wisconsin because I was supposed to be picking her up the next day to take her out for breakfast before I said goodbye, and then I went up to Minneapolis, St. Paul for recruiting trips, and, smart as women are, as soon as she saw me, she said, "You get your butt up to the emergency room." Well, I did present myself. They basically said, "You've got a temperature 102.8, but go drink this Gatorade, you're gonna be fine."
mhm,
And nope. It was the next morning when I woke up even worse, that the last thing I really remember was and to this day, last thing I remember was that, I was in the front passenger seat with my stepfather driving, backing out of the driveway and looking at my mother, who's just looking totally freaked out as she's standing on the driveway outside her kitchen door. I mean, I've never seen my mother look like that. That is the
mhm.
last thing I remember for that month while I was in the coma. So there must have been some bad things going on. Later, I learned that luckily the doctor from the emergency room wasn't making the decisions the next day. There happened to be a doctor from intensive care there. As soon as he saw me, he realized
Mhm.
what was happening. So it was sepsis was starting to sink in. All my organs were starting to shut down.
Mhm. Yeah.
I was awake
Uh,
through all of this area. I was awake for it, but that's still tucked in that bag. I've never gone and opened up that bag. I don't know if I want to, but part of me wants to now that it's been so long and I've come
yeah.
full circle.
Mhm.
And it would be interesting, but I don't know. Maybe my brain is smarter than me. That sounds strange. Brain is smarter than me and is just saying, no, 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 dude, you're not going there. We're not going to let you go there because maybe
Yeah.
some trauma would come up.
I
So,
I understand that, I really do. I mean, not personally into that level, I've had
mhm,
brushes where I've been into the hospital, but I understand what you're saying
mhm.
because I've had loss for my father and my sister within the last couple years, and I have found me personally, now of course, I'm not I wasn't the one the focus of any kinda illness, but I found it just pushing myself forward, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
task, next tax, next tax.
See, that's what I started
Yeah.
doing. So I
Yeah.
started doing the doctor also told me that the reason why I couldn't move, and this was refreshing, said the
Mhm.
reason why you can't move is you've lost 40 pounds of muscle through atrophy.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Well, seriously, that like, oh, thank God. I mean, I'm not paralyzed. All right. But then that gave me the focus area that
Mhm.
being an athlete, all right, now you gave me something to do. I'm going to
Right.
focus on. I'm going to start gaining that muscle back. And that I did. I mean, right away, I started, moving an inch, maybe moving 2 inches. I started doing anything I could to strengthen up all my muscles. I knew how to do this from athletics.
Mhm.
And therefore, that was what the focus was. And it was, protein, protein, and more protein to really get it going. So 4 more months I was in the hospital. When I shifted over to ICU, I was really I became strong enough after only 2 weeks for them to say, "Okay, now let's get you over to, rehab." and then start working on that. But that was a 4-month journey. I mean,
Wow.
that was kinda wicked. That was in some ways, it was more difficult than any training I'd ever done as a soccer player.
Really?
It was
Wow.
difficult. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now
But I ate it up though, too. It gave me
well,
focus.
I think that's the best thing. Now again, I not to your level. I've had my own little brushes with stuff, but not to the level of this. But I personally, for me, just even being with people that have had the struggle too, I always find that it's best the next tax, and because if you start to think about the whole, I think that is can end up being to a crash and burn if you let your mind focus, you know what I mean, to a way bigger
Oh, yeah.
picture. One
Oh,
step
yeah.
at a time, and
Exactly.
build that bridge to be able to get to the point where you have
Mhm,
to deal with the bigger stuff in front of
mhm,
you.
mhm,
Now, before your illness, soccer was, well, it probably still is, was a huge part of your identity as a coach. How did losing the ability to do things the way you used to do force
mhm.
you to rethink who you are now?
As soon as I was fitted for I wear myoelectric hands. These are electronic
Mhm.
hands that I learned how to manipulate much the same way I learned how to make a
And
soccer ball do funky things. Yeah.
I have to say that's cool as heck. It is. It's so cool. It is so cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Well,
interrupt.
I was first fitted for hooks, and my mind was, "There's no way in hell I'm gonna wear those."
Mhm,
So it was I learned that maybe they did the amputation, so there's a possibility of me using the myoelectrics. But as soon as I got the myoelectrics, I found out, there was some trial and error, but
mhm,
I could grasp a pencil, and I asked for paper, and I started changing the way I was coaching. I wrote a coaching manual. I titled it The Soccer Atlas, Where Are We Going and How Are We Going to Get There? I wrote this whole
mhm,
manual for the program and for my players and my assistants on how we're gonna heck, and also for me, on how was I going to alter how I was going to be leading this program. In my first year, we were nationally ranked, and I continued leading this program. We continued being nationally ranked for 4 more years.
mhm.
So, I was doing something right, but again, the stupid things. I didn't work on my emotions. And really, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, that all of us, friends, family, players, the administration at the university, we all were faking it. We never brought up the situation, life. I
Right.
knew life. We never
Mhm,
touched on it, especially me. For
mhm.
me, it was, again, I don't want to go there. I do
Right.
not want to go there. And I think everyone else didn't wanna go there because they thought it might affect me. So we all did this tap dance for years, decades really,
Mhm.
on, me and my emotions.
Right.
Stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, just for full disclosure, for the longest time, we had a friend in our family years ago, his demise, but not because of what he went through. He developed cancer that was later in his life. But when we first met him, he had one arm and one leg because he was in an accident from
Okay,
electricity.
okay.
And it never let him stop him. I mean, the man was fearless. He ran his own farm and he did all the labor himself. I mean, he was just phenomenal.
Mm,
A very great loss to our community. Just a tremendous man. You would have never known he had obstacles in his life or whatever. And my grandfather as well was blind and had no
mhm.
legs. And yeah, I know. And he would rebuild an engine. So
Oh,
yeah. So I there are great capacities for us as human beings to adapt and overcome and move past,
agreed.
um, yeah, things that are happening to us. It just depends on your willingness to be able to find the way. And
Mm,
so I commend you greatly for meeting an obstacle and overcoming it. That
thank
speaks
you.
volumes to you as a person and an individual.
Well,
So
there was, like I said, I ran national program for 4 more years, but
mhm.
there was a point at the end of that, I ended up resigning because I ran smack dab into the wall of depression. It was
Well,
just
yeah. I would
poof.
imagine there was a long period for that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It continued on until the 20 teens, really,
Mhm.
until something happened to, help me. pull myself out of that nosedive that I was
Mhm,
going through. There were different stages of it. But I get what you were saying about these other people,
mhm,
but a lot of it has to do with their background and how they were as a child, probably. I I've talked with some psychiatrist angled podcasters about
mhm,
all of this, and we look back into the childhood on what may have, well, really formed the base. A lot of it was a strong work ethic from family,
mhm,
strong work ethic from me that we then had to rely on. And I would assume that that's what those gentlemen had to do. They had to rely on the base that they had built throughout their life,
mhm.
and that from there they were able to continue moving forward.
Yeah,
That's so important. So important.
it is. It is, and I don't think anyone realizes it until they themselves are either part of someone else's journey and you're right there from the
Mm,
get-go, or you yourself have to go through it.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
so when we talk about your journey, let's talk about Play from Your Heart.
Okay.
This book talks about rebuilding your life over from many
Mhm.
years. Now, what was the turning point when you realized you were ready to move forward? And I guess that kind of plays into where we were saying where your life is and how you move forward and overcome.
Yeah. I think the second pivot point was also the point that was probably it was probably had me even deeper than I was when I woke up from the coma to learn that all of a sudden I'm an amputee. You know, area I went from a white guy in athletics, all you had to do was win, which okay, I figured out how to do that plenty and
Mhm,
was successful, to all of a sudden being labeled as disabled. You can't do that.
mm,
I ran into discrimination. I'd never run into discrimination prior. I grew up learning about it, but I
yeah,
ran into discrimination. But so within a 3-month period from resignation to going out east for some interviews, and that's where I first ran smack dab into discrimination with I had an interview with athletic director. I happened to stop to get a drink of water down the hall, and I heard him yell across the hallway to his secretary, "Why did I just interview a guy with no hands for this position?" And
mm,
that hit home. I mean, this is one of those chinks in the armor that hurt. It really hurt.
yeah,
But
mm,
within that 3 months, we also had a 2-week-long $10 million medical malpractice trial against that attorney that never tested my blood. And
mm,
our side said, "Yeah, it would have made a difference." Theirs said it didn't. It's all about perception. I lost the trial,
mhm,
and that was the point where I actually got the call from my attorney at a friend's apartment, drove back to my apartment, pulled into the garage, and as I turned off my car, and as the garage door is going down, I literally chuckle, Larry, that there
mhm,
must be people that are thinking that I wouldn't turn my car off, or that maybe I'd go get a
mm,
pistol because, you know, people would be thinking, where are you gonna go? I had no job, I had nothing, and here I am, extremely disabled. But that also was the time when I grabbed that pendulum that was I knew that was had swung in the wrong direction so far,
mhm,
and I started swinging that pendulum back. I came up with a plan for what I was gonna do. Part of it was to go on food stamps and work for free for someone, but also that was the point of, I've gotta do something about it. No one else is gonna do it, and I'm going to do it. And I
yeah,
I was successful at turning things around. I had to hit rock bottom though, Ari. I had to hit rock bottom in order to do it. I broke myself down, and then I started building myself back up.
right. I kinda understand. I mean, I don't understand it in the same level. I don't wanna even compare
Mm,
myself with what you've went through, but I understand, the depression level. I did a stint in therapy for 3 years,
okay.
and I was very depressed,
Mm,
and I don't wanna go into the whole spew, but I understand having those moments where despair runs you,
mm. Oh, yeah.
and yeah, so I mean, maybe, I don't wanna ever compare one person's things to another because we are all different and we handle things very differently, but I do understand a point in my life where I reached the bottom part and I was like,
Yeah.
"How am I going to climb my way out of this?" And I think sometimes it just takes things to shake us, you know?
Mm.
Did you find in your own personal life that there was a pivotal point that made you look at things differently?
You mean, I assume you're talking about looking at from perhaps a
Well,
negative standpoint or looking at
well,
things.
either or. If you found out that
Mm,
there was a point that you had to grab this by the horns and move it around, or did you
mm.
find yourself going a little more negative than you normally would it and just in a regular day-to-day life?
Oh, not from that, not after the trial. No, that
Mhm,
that totally changed things. The deal was I worked for free for a gentleman at a small college out west, but he knew people, and the deal
mhm,
was that he was gonna help me get back on my feet, so to speak, in the coaching, start going up that ladder again. He did. He came through with a deal for me at Gonzaga University, but
that's
something happened. I won't go into it here too much,
yeah,
but it was a kind of a negative experience. The full coaching position for the head coaching position came up. The athletic director said, "Hey, I want you to apply for this." But, um, just before the interviews were gonna start,
Mhm,
I happened to watch a, news program out of Seattle, but I was out in Washington at the time, and it was of this couple that adopted a couple of kids from Haiti. They had
mhm,
lost their parents. Here's a point, I guess I'm going around it a different way in a different manner, but
mhm,
this is something I cannot explain. I've been asked this many times. I cannot explain it. Within 10 minutes, went up to my office. I started studying adoption. The next morning, I called the athletic director at Gonzaga, and I'm glad he didn't pick up because I wouldn't have known how to tell him what I was doing. I just left a message, please remove my name from consideration for the head coaching position, and started the adoption process. Ended up adopting a total of 5 kids, 2 from Romania, 3 from Ethiopia, 2 and then a 1 and 1 and 1 from Ethiopia.
mhm,
All 3 of those kids from Ethiopia witnessed their parents die of AIDS. I mean, they're
mhm.
and I also went from coaching soccer, I had a basketball team, now 5 kids, so to speak. So that was another point where I guess if we're looking at my base changing as I
Mhm,
went through life, that was another change in my base. I left athletics altogether, left soccer. A couple of them played rec and I would help out. But for 20
mhm,
years, I was just tata. I was father. I was Romanian for father to these
mhm,
5 kids. I did reach a point where it came back and I kinda came back and I went back to coaching at a pretty decent level, at a higher level for the youth program. So,
right,
yeah, I mean, it's just all of these different bases, I guess you could look at as I hopped from base to base on, a lot of it was forward moving, but they were
yeah.
all different
I
different challenges.
I think that's tremendous though, because I think you this is just me assuming, you let me know if I'm wrong,
Mm,
but I think you saw that you had a lot more to give. You know, there's a
good
lot of
point.
you. I mean, yeah, you had this problem in your life, this big obstacle that came in,
Mhm.
but then you looked at yourself and you saw other people that had worse things and you adopted 5 kids. That's tremendous. I mean, that's showing that there's so much more to give, right?
It it wasn't therapeutic for me or anything. I
Mhm,
still to this day, I cannot explain how that happened, what it was. It wasn't an idea, it was a pull
mhm.
that I just went with totally willingly on this direction, and I had a blast doing it. It was so
Oh,
much fun, you know? N none
yeah.
of them all 5 of the kids came home after diaper stage, which was really nice. I didn't have to deal with that. Uh But there are times when people ask me about how I do with the prosthetics and handling all of this, and I
Mhm.
simply say, "I raised 5 kids." I think that answers questions for a lot of people because I get it. I get it.
I think that's the best dang disposition I've ever heard. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean,
That
even
answers
when I'm
it.
speaking to you, I can feel a lot of positive energy there. I
Oh, yeah.
mean, it just there's so much to it. And
Yeah.
at the point you just made too, you eventually returned to coaching and
Mhm.
even help lead a youth team to an undefeated state championship. Now, what did that experience mean to you after everything else you've gone
Oh.
through?
Oh, everything because it proved a lot of people wrong. I ended
Oh,
up
I
at a
bet,
club.
I bet.
Oh god, I love to stick it.
Right? I would love to be a fly on the wall to watch the gloating on that. That would have been
Oh,
awesome.
that was well, there's a point
Yeah.
in the book where I explain at the end of the year, the entire club is in this hall,
Mhm,
concert hall in Bellingham, Washington, and our team goes up to accept their awards and stuff, and I had the microphone, and I let the director of coaching have it a little bit, sideways about
mhm,
just saying this was I was given a C team, not the A, not the B, the C team of 12-year-olds, and also tells you something about this director of coaching. He never shook my hand. The whole time I was there,
mhm,
he never shook my hand. So when I had the chance to do a dig, it was, something on the order of, everyone needs to be able to understand and respect every member of this club, whether it's the A team or the C team, on what they can give and what they can accomplish. And these kids accomplished something that no one I was told when I was given the C team, "Just keep the parents happy because we need the income." This was a club
mhm,
area that parents paid thousands of dollars for their kids to play with expectation, maybe college scholarships, professional maybe, and all of these. And here we were with these kids, and they accomplished a lot. Most of them, 4 went the next season went up to the A team, 8 went up to the B team. I
mhm.
was not asked to return, which blew my mind. Nothing was said to me. I just chucked it in here's another discrimination story that I have.
Right.
So, yeah, it came down to that. That whole experience was just fun. Just and the writing a book is very cathartic, and it
Mhm.
helped me look backwards, from the illness and everything, but it also helped me look at me at the point of working with these kids in the second half of the
Right.
book, and even what happened after that, so it's been great.
I I could see this as a better movie than The Mighty Ducks. Do you remember that movie about well, I think that was what was that? Was that baseball or was it
No, no,
hockey? I think there was a
Mighty Ducks was hockey. It's been
hockey.
said to me, a combination of Mighty Ducks and, Bad News Bears. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I remember that one too. That would be
movies have
so
been
good.
brought up.
Uh-huh.
There's someone that spoke with me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna send this to somebody I know at Disney. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
That
We'll see
would
what
be a good
happens."
one. It really would because, I mean, I could see the intro, going into this guy doing so much great soccer and he's real athletic and then, taking that and turning it. But I mean, even that with adopting, you had your team though before you actually went back to coaching too. So I find that awesome too because I mean, you brought in your own personal team.
Well, there's situation now, and this has been my story has been tagged as, or the book has been tagged as, this is a positive story in negative times. I mean, what great timing with all the
Mhm.
junk that's going on, now we're at war
Oh,
with
I know. Don't
whatever
get me
countries,
started.
oh my
I know.
goodness.
Don't
Uh,
get me started. I
but
could go on when you start
yeah,
talking politics, I mean, ugh, you know?
well, I mean, it
Yeah.
is, well over 90% of the podcasts and journalists that I speak with have
Mhm,
nothing to do with necessarily I thought it was gonna be about disability and soccer.
mhm.
Uh-uh. It's about this positive story and negative times thing. The deeper we get into whatever this mess is that we're
Oh, I
all
know.
in,
I
the
know.
more it's being picked up because
Well,
people doggone it, we need something.
yeah, I think the biggest thing is that as a country, we believe, right over wrong,
Yes.
and we keep expecting a big win, like, "Oh, this if this happens, this'll stop that, or this will stop that," but it seems like be a float by of everything you thought would stand up to stop this or that or whatever,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Since we're not
Yeah.
pinpointing any particular areas, we're just generally speaking about things happening, and I think the thing, where your story comes into point, like this big win, it's because that's what it is, it's a big win.
Oh, yeah.
Here's
Mhm.
something that's been most people think, "Oh, he'll be defeated or this will happen and he'll be cast aside," and that's the end of that.
Mhm.
And when you come back and you have this great big win, not just personally, not just personally, but successfully,
Mhm.
that is aspiring to make people believe that there is still a chance of the platform more worldwide, or
Yeah,
more at
yeah.
home like we're going through, because I'm assuming we're supposed. both talking about the states here. So,
Uh-huh. We are.
yeah. Yeah,
We are.
okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
I have a place for all this talking. I try not to do too much with my guests, but, you know, I understand exactly what you're saying. I really do.
I just wrote to my publisher today. He reached out and asked me if there anyone, if there are any physical ARCs, advanced reader copies that he should be sending out. I gave him a list. And I also told him that, about this tagline that's being put on the story.
Mhm.
And I almost wrote, but I didn't. Thank we should thank Trump for doing all this stuff.
I I always say the head of this administration. I don't try to put his
Okay.
name in anything anymore. I
Uh,
really don't.
well, you're
I
running the
even
show. I'm just a guest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I talk about anything, I do now I have my opinions, I'm sure, and you probably understand it just from my demeanor. But I have
Mhm.
my opinions. But when I do the political podcast, I try to just bring facts so that people can come to the realization on their own for whatever they believe in their cycle. But always try to bring to a point where how is this going to affect you? How is this going to affect us?
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason that your hashtag is so hardy because people are looking for that belief because we just see so much negative that's affecting us on the daily. I mean, for the
Yep.
last year and a half, or is it less than a half now? I can't remember. It feels like
I know.
20 or 30 years. It feels
Huh.
like a lifetime ago
Oh my goodness.
right now. So I think that, and I understand that because I'm constantly looking for it. There was some times when I was looking just for positive angles for podcasts as far as where you
Oh,
wanna talk about politics, and
there you go.
it's not the easiest to find. It really isn't. So I think this kind of thing so, yeah, I would definitely put that as a spin as what you've went through.
Yeah.
And, when I get back to the question base here, a lot of people hear the word disability and immediately think limitations. Um,
Yes.
from your perspective, what do you wish people understood differently about living with a disability?
I think disability scares people, especially males, because I think it makes males they look at me and, "Oh, that could happen to me." So it bothers the psyche and makes them wonder about their own mortality
Mhm.
because that could happen to me if it happened to this guy. But I think it really has to come down to, folks, everyone has issues, and there are 1.3 billion
Mhm.
with a B, people in this world with a disability, various degrees, you know, mine being that you could see it and wonder about it and be concerned about it. But I think what has to happen, Ari, is that there has to be better education with the non disabled about what it's like for the disabled, just honest discussion. And when I talk about this with other people in the disabled community, I always point to the LGBTQ plus community. Why don't we follow that and do their game plan with what they've done? Because that's come such a long way,
Mm.
with all the shows, commercials about mixed race or mixed sex marriages. We've come such a long way on acceptance for that. And I think the
Right.
disabled community is lacking because I think it's splintered. It might be more emotional to try to get the message across to people. But I'm totally ready to be a leader, whatever tags someone who wants to put on me, to step out there and say, "Look at me, look
Mhm.
what I've accomplished." I'm an okay person, and
I
it's
think you're an
okay.
extraordinary person, to be honest with
Cool, thank you.
you. You're welcome. Extraordinary because even your disposition, it's very you know what I mean? Very calming, very gratifying to listen to you and know that you've had these great obstacles, but you seem to have a positive outlook. Is that something that you feel that was mostly with you even before the illness, or do you think that
Mm.
that's come out even more so because?
Here is something that's gonna make people really wonder if this freaking thing is really true, and it is.
Mhm.
So, after they didn't invite me back, I moved back to Wisconsin, I started substitute teaching, and here we go. I've now been married 6 years to the lady that we first met when I was 19, she was 17 and was a senior in high school.
Mhm.
I was not mature enough at the time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.
I let life go by because I knew that I wasn't mature enough to be in that relationship, even though I knew that that was my person that I was supposed to
Mhm.
be with, and I let life go by. 40 years went by, and she reached out to me. Sue is upstairs right now, and 40 years went by, she reached out and tracked me down through an old teammate of mine, and I it's kinda like the adoption with the kids. I don't know where it came from. It was like there was no 40 years didn't exist.
Mhm.
We were just us again. And that's how I've now come full circle back to being that old cocky self I was before I got sick. I am, and it's because of her.
Now, did you guys adopt the children together, or was that
No.
prior? Okay,
Yeah,
prior.
that was within that 40-year period where I went off and, I did the adoptions of the kids. So you know, she there when you try we haven't seen someone for 40 years, there's a lot of catching up to do
Oh,
on
I can
things.
imagine.
Yeah, and she didn't know about what happened to me, with the illness and the amputations until she started learning about it through Facebook, maybe because 'cause there's been
Mhm.
some write-ups on it in the past. This is before she actually was the stabilizing force for me to really get into writing and to making this whole thing happen, and through the marketing process here too, with all the
Right.
stuff that my publisher has me doing. Really, she won't wanna hear this, but it's true. Sue has
Mhm.
been an amazing person to balance me and help me really change that base again that I have a much stronger base now. It's pretty much the same base I had before I got sick. Pretty much is. Yeah. Positive
So
attitude.
now, when you talk about the stuff going out on social media, from interviews and, excuse me, podcasts and everything else that you've done, now in several interviews, from what I've listened to, you talk about resilience and
Mhm.
rebuilding your identity after trauma.
Mhm.
What lessons from the journey do you try to pass on to the young athletes you work with today?
Wow. I will say that there have been more than a few that have told me after we've worked together that when they initially were introduced to me, that they were wondering what the heck is going on. I get it. I get it. But a
Mhm.
bunch of them also went on and wrote papers about me. So they understood because the way I run my teams, Ari, is I want them to call me Scott because I tell them that we're working together. And therefore, why not? Let's get down and we're, it's collaboration. I want to hear what they have to say. I actually have a statement I tell them, I'm going to ask you more questions and tell you what to do
Mhm.
because I want to hear from your perspective so I understand so that could be implemented totally. The way my teams play is very different. It's opens them up. We have concepts and then there's where do you want to take it? And once they buy into it, boom, it goes. I mean, I came back to Wisconsin and won another state championship with another group of kids and I'm
Mhm.
working just this past Saturday, I met yet another team of under 19s that I'm gonna start working with, and we started the process again. The biggest hurdle I had right away was they were calling me coach and not Scott. I had it out with them, and the parents too. "Come on, guys. The longer you call me coach and don't call me Scott, the longer it's gonna be before you get on board with this program and how we run things. So please start calling me Scott so we can get some work done."
Right.
That's how we do it. Yeah.
Right.
I always went by an adage, "My mission is not to teach you, but to put you in a position to learn." That's very different.
Mm.
It's very different. It's trust, back and forth trust. And these kids now, I've gotta get them to trust me so we can start moving forward together, and I can start putting them in these positions to learn instead of them
Mhm.
thinking that I'm just gonna teach them. I don't like doing that. No.
Right.
Then it's robots. Soccer is not about robots. It's the beautiful game. Players are
Yeah.
creative.
I agree with that. I think I think that empowers them too,
Yes,
because that gives them the position whether do I want to learn, not I'm being forced to learn,
exactly.
and yeah.
They buy in. They buy in to what I'm selling.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I really do. I mean, this is a little bit different, but, like, my mother came and lived with us on the property. She has her own apartment, but I found that the more I did for her, the more I got negative, you know? Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Kinda the
Uh-huh,
same output.
uh-huh.
it's like if you give a person there's an old statement, if you give a person the ability to fish or you give them the fish,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
They
Exactly.
appreciate the fish more if they are able to
Yeah.
do it themselves. If you just keep doing it for them,
Mhm.
it's a matter of where their accomplishment is,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
I wanna do this or am I doing it because I'm being pushed into it? So I truly agree with that. I think that's commendable. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Mm.
So now for someone listening who might be facing a life-changing setback right now, what is the biggest wish for you for wanting them to take away from the story?
Cut yourself some slack. Give yourself a break. Time, time. Give it some time.
Yeah.
It's gonna come around. Just, yeah, cut yourself some slack.
Well, we are the hardest on ourselves. We're harder on
Mhm.
ourselves than anybody else. We'll cut ourselves down quicker than anything. So I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
So now, Scott, tell me what's next? What's on the horizon? What do we got next
Ugh.
coming?
Well, here's a little something. My alma mater, University of Wisconsin in Oshkosh, I was the player coach when I was in college that proved that varsity soccer was a possibility because all we played the 2 years I was the player coach
Mhm.
were varsity programs, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, and we went 25, 7, and 2 to prove the possibility of varsity status. The university dropped men's soccer in 2015. They're bringing it back, and doggone it, I'm gonna apply for that position.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think it would be a smart move on their part, and I know they're probably gonna go after younger people. It might have been assisted, but doggone, I have a heck of a lot of experience, and I know what I'm doing, plus I bring a platform. So that's
Right.
what's next for me. We'll see though, Ari, we'll see. They haven't opened it up for applications yet, but I'm, using the media any way I can to try to get I need to get a foot in the door so I could sit down at the table and then
Right.
talk with them. So that's what's next.
Now, do you think there's gonna be another book?
The ending leaves room for a book.
Nice.
And we actually have it all ready to go. It's gonna be a different sort of format. I won't go into it much because it's something I've never seen. I've heard about someone wrote a book this manner once before, but the ending opens the door for a continuation, and I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Now here's my final question. Are you gonna hit me up again for the next book? Come on, come on, come
Oh, heck. You know, I oh, there writing is such a process.
on.
It's not just the writing. I'll put it that writing is hard, but marketing is even
Yeah,
harder,
it
and trying to
is.
get a publisher.
Yeah,
I went through 2 different agents. I had to fire the last agent because, they were
yeah.
being too hesitant and stuff. So this
Oh,
is
I
difficult.
it is. Most people might not know it, but I have published 15 books myself, so I get it.
Oh,
I
oh,
Yeah,
I didn't look into that
yeah.
aspect. I only
It's alright.
now
Look,
now
the
I'm gonna go do some digging here, lady.
don't dig too deep. I am a preferred taste.
Come
I'm not
on.
everyone's oh, trust me, I am not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not. I do
What
it
did
for
I
the
say
joy of
before? What did I say before, Ari, about cutting yourself some slack?
Oh, trust me, I'm
Come
still
on.
writing. I'm editing one now. I'm
Okay,
editing one now.
okay.
So, but it probably won't be out until the end of this year, if that. But yeah, I'm in edits now.
Fun. Yeah.
And yeah, it can be fun, but not when you're me. I hate to edit. I absolutely hate it.
Oh,
Um,
I'm gonna keep tabs on you
oh, okay. Well,
on what you're doing.
I think like anything, I think that my work has I'd like to believe, I should say, I'd like to believe that it's gotten better with each book, but I write for purely because it's something I wanna read, and,
There you go.
um, it gives me a lot of joy. If someone else likes it, that's just a cherry on top.
Well, the way you
So
do a podcast is very appealing, I would assume, for
oh,
everyone. I'm not just blowing smoke.
well,
I
thank you.
think it it's like we are sitting down in a living room, or maybe we're sitting down at a pub, you know?
And
Either way,
you see we went over the 20 minutes. I can never
oh, hell
stick to
yeah.
my own rules. I cannot stick to my own rules. I cannot. I really can't. And I always tell my guests, if we go over, that's fine. I aspire for the 20-minute podcast. I don't always accomplish it. So, I aspire for it, I get it.
Okay.
So, then the next book, let me put this back
Yeah.
to you. The next book,
Mhm.
are you in writing now? Is there something
No,
coming
it's been
forward?
done for years.
Oh, it's
It's been
been
done.
done.
Yeah, it's been done
Okay,
for years.
and so you were talking about getting a publisher. I'm assuming you had a publisher the first one, right?
I've got a publisher now that they're the
Mhm.
ones that's cracking a whip on me doing all this marketing stuff,
Cracking
which
whip,
is fine,
okay.
which is fine.
Are you
But,
gonna go with the same publisher for this next book, or are you looking for a new?
let's avoid let me put one thing.
Okay.
Um, in the contract, there was a stipulation, there was a clause in there about movie rights. I had them take that out. That's one thing.
Uh-huh.
I want control
Right.
because how Play From Your Heart goes
Mhm.
will, open doors hopefully for whatever the name of that is, which I already know. I'm not gonna say it, wherever that might go. So I
Mhm.
I want control moving forward. I want
Okay.
control of everything moving forward. So we'll see what
Well,
happens.
the reason I lay the groundwork for this kind of question is I'm wondering, when you get this one published, are you
Mhm.
gonna come back? Are you gonna come back? We'll need a part 2.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh,
Right.
I've surprisingly, I must be a halfway decent guy to talk to because probably half of the podcasters, wanna do like, after the
Mhm.
book drops on June 9, we gotta get together again. Like, yeah, then we could talk
Mhm.
about, how the marketing process really went,
Oh,
and
yeah.
see how things I wanna see what happens at the end. I mean, we have come up close today. A little bit over 3 months before the book
Yeah.
drops.
It's a lot. I don't think people understand the marketing. I'm indie. I've
Mhm,
done all of it myself. In the very beginning, when I published my very first book, I was very hands-on, and I did some
mhm.
good numbers. I mean, I did some
Good.
really good numbers. But since then, I have pulled back. I publish and then I just drop, like, there it is. I don't really do a lot of that, trust me. I like I said, I used to be more active, but it is a lot of work.
Yeah,
And my goals have spiraled a little bit because, I do the podcast and I enjoy it very
mhm,
much. I'm a firm believer of pushing forward in things that give you joy. And
exactly.
yeah, so that's where my focus has been a lot. But I'm trying to push back into that. I have like 5 bodies of work that I have not I
Oh,
have
you're
not
one of
published.
those. Oh, you're
Yeah.
one of
Oh,
those.
yeah. I know, right? I'm those dreaded person, you're like, "Oh my
Mm.
gosh, why does she
Oh,
have to be one of those?" Yeah.
well, I went through some really strange things during the editing process. We had a great editor, Sydney. I
Oh.
I never got her last name, but she kicked something back. So I ended up I think the second time that Sydney had it and sent it back, for some reason, I opened it up I was reading it electronically, of course, and I was reading
Mhm,
it there's a lot of music that I refer to in the book 'cause I play music at training, not for the players,
mhm,
but for me to set a metronome for how they're playing. And I was starting to read the book after I got it back from Sydney the second time, and I opened up a second tab and went to Spotify, and every time a song came up, and there are a dozen, 14, maybe 15 songs to listen, I went and
mhm,
plugged that song into Spotify and I stopped reading and I went so in the beginning, when we opened up me heading down to Chicago, I mentioned "Love and Happiness" song by John Mellencamp. I go in
mhm.
and I listen to the song, and then I come back and reading. So, without knowing it, maybe I should take pat myself on the back for this area. But, yeah, I wrote an interactive book. No,
Mhm.
I think I tripped into writing an interactive book because I think that people will get something out of this different. Like, "Oh, cool. I've never come across an interactive book." Again, read it electronically or, by paper, and then open up Spotify, plug that song in, go listen to the song, and then come out back.
Mhm,
There's plenty of it in there. I think that's something that people are going to get a hold of
mhm.
and really want it's like, that would be really cool to put a soundtrack together. I'd love that,
Yeah,
from the book. I think that'd be great. Or if they could do it in the movie, put the
yeah.
soundtrack along with the movie, so that'd be cool.
I could see a movie to it, I really could.
Mm.
Or
There's music.
if you can't do a movie, what would be pretty good too? I
Huh.
don't know if it's in the wheelhouse for you to be able to do it, but or for your publisher, but an Audible. But an Audible where you
Yeah.
have different people, you know what I mean?
That'd be
And
interesting.
yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, corner
Yeah.
different parts of it and stuff like that, or even develop it even more to be along a movie kind of front. You could write it
Well,
like a
if
script.
we could plug the music into it, copyrights
Mhm.
would kill us to
Oh
redo it.
my god,
I
yes.
do have an idea. Hopefully, I'm gonna get the interview at UW Oshkosh for the head coaching position
Mhm,
there. I wanna sit down and I have an idea because I have a platform going with the book that
Mhm.
I would like for someone from the university, maybe a student that's getting into film or something, maybe do not a
Yeah,
documentary, but pieces about how to build a program. Now, how is this program
yeah.
being built? From the guy that wrote Play From Your Heart. I
There
think that
are
would be really
some
cool.
there are some movie things. I got offered in the very beginning. One of the students at a college reached out to me in the very beginning of my early this
Mm.
is, like, way beginning, my first few books, reached out to me about doing a small script play just for their class, you know what I mean,
Oh, okay.
on my book.
Hmm.
But my book is this book was kinda graphic, and he didn't realize it until we got into it. It's a little bloody too, and there's a lot of
Mhm,
well,
mhm,
I'm not sure how to word
mhm,
it, but you
mhm.
know what I mean. It would have been maybe not, something to do a play on in a physical sense, if you get my gist. And
It
so
there's enough
but
gore in it that it wouldn't be cost effective. How's that?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking,
That's
there was a lot
expensive.
of yeah, it could have been that. But
Mm,
he was interested because he liked the book,
'kay.
but it didn't pan through. But my point was is that maybe something like that would get you an in on that. Have you
Ah,
ever thought about you may or may not know, I'm not as
mm,
active on it, but I still get the emails. Have you ever thought about doing Stage 32?
what's that?
It is kinda like Facebook, but it's done for just actors, producers. In fact, if you
Mm,
go back through my podcast, I've had a few producers from Stage 32
'kay.
that were on, and also Stage 32 has a connection, at least they used to, with Netflix. I'm not sure how
Ooh,
firm that is, so don't quote me on it.
mm,
But from when I was speaking with someone, because I wanted to do farther interviews with more of the people there, and I was actually talking with one of their people to set it up,
mm,
but my father got ill and it just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, but that's beside the point. But you should look into that, Stage 32, and it's kinda like Facebook, and they have it in their, programming where you can actually put up ideas and sometimes producers will act on it. You can get it joined to different threads. You can speak with
'kay.
different actors. There are a lot of connections there where people are always looking for different projects. It might be
Mm.
something to open some doors if that's
You know,
truly what you would like to do.
I've learned, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mhm.
And us just
Right.
talking now, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go open a new tab and go look at page 32. I wanna go see what's
Alright.
going on. You don't know
I'm
until you
on
try.
right, I'm on there, but I'm not as active. I don't think I've posted in quite some time.
This might
Um
spur you too. It might. It might spur
Are
you
you
just
trying
maybe
to
a kick
boost
in the
my
butt.
work level here?
Heck yes. Heck yeah, you sound like a lady that likes to work. You like to overcome obstacles. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and you
Um
like to laugh doing it too. I definitely get that.
I have my moments. Scott, you were an absolute joy, and I would love for you to come back. So
Yes,
especially if the
ma'am.
next book or even if there's a movie opening going on
You
soon,
got
I'd love
me.
to have you back on.
You got me. Yeah, I owe you.
And there oh, no, you don't owe me nothing. If it opens up a door, I'm just happy to do it. I'm happy to give you that
Awesome.
step. So, but
Let's do it.
thank you so much for being on, Scott. I really enjoyed you tonight.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you to our listeners. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye for now.